Well, we've been learning about giants of the faith. 3 weeks ago, we talked about Noah, and we learned about how you as an individual, no matter how big or small or how important you are, you can make a difference in the world. 2 weeks ago, we learned about Esther. And from Esther, we learned that it doesn't matter who you are. God has a place and a plan for you. So this morning, I want to start our time together with a question. Have you known, or have you ever known anyone who's had a dream? Anybody know anybody that's had a dream? Big? Was it a big dream? Somebody give me some examples of people you've known who's had a dream. Martin Luther King, I thought about just pushing that play button, but I didn't. Anybody else you know that's had a dream?
Play pro baseball.
To play pro baseball. There are all kinds of big dreams out there, aren't there? Well, let me change the question a little bit. Who in this room has ever had a dream? Have you ever had a dream? Was it a big dream? Is there anybody that wants to be brave enough to share their big dream? All those hands. Oh, Donna, wonderful. There we go. Somebody, Donna, thank you. Was it a big lottery? Big enough.
Lost at sea on a cruise ship. We're the only ones on there. Just kept floating.
Seems like a nice dream. This week's giant of the faith, I tell people, is the giant who was made famous by Donny Osmond. Joseph. Joseph was a man with a dream. It was a dream of grand importance, a dream of providing and ruling over his family, a dream of changing his world. And his dream can teach us a lot today. I asked if anybody here has had a dream. How many of you who raised your hands and said, yes, I've had a dream, have at one time or another just had a bit of trouble reaching that dream? Joseph did too, by the way, and that can teach us a lot today. So I want to help us begin to think about our dreams. And to begin to think about our dreams in such a way that we might have some hope for actually reaching them. For actually seeing our dreams come true. I thought about having Sheila sing To Dream the Impossible Dream today. But I fought that urge. Because no dream with God's power and our following is ever impossible. Let me tell you something. Joseph could have thought his dream to be impossible. He could have thought about his dream as just about a nightmare. Here he is, 17 years old. The 12th son of the most important man in his world. Not just because it's his father, but because his father was the leader of a whole nation or a whole people. Now, in those days, just in case you don't understand, being the 12th son of anybody wasn't worth a plugged nickel. It wasn't. Son number one in that day got it all. Son number 2 got nothing, and every son after that got less. And by the way, if you were a daughter, you just got sold. That's all there was to it. You got traded to the highest bidder for your wifely future. 17 years old, Joseph has a dream. And he does what any 17-year-old boy was going to do in his day and age. He ran home to tell his closest relatives, his 11 older brothers. You know, sometimes there is a lot to be said for keeping your mouth shut. And this might have been one of those times. But not Joseph. He goes home full speed and he tells his brother, "Hey guys, I've had a dream." By the way, you should be paying attention because just about any time anybody says, "I've had a dream," there's going to be problems. I've had a dream. We each have a sheaf, and all of your sheaves bow down to you. Think about that for a minute. You're 17 years old and you have brothers that are much, much older than you, much, much smarter than you, much, much wiser, and probably bigger, and tougher, and more experienced. Didn't matter to Joseph, he went home. Had to tell them all the story. Joseph could have given up his dream right here, there, because it did not go well. His dream was not welcomed with open arms. His dream was not appreciated in the least. His dream was, quite frankly, hogwash. And his brothers told him that. They said, "Are you crazy? Are you nuts? If you think I'm bowing down to you, you've got another thing coming. Who do you think you are?" And see, I'm giving you the English nice version, just so you know. Because let me tell you, when you read this in the Hebrew and when you see the words that are used there, Joseph has a dream and his brothers not only tell him to go jump in the lake, they tell him to tie some heavy rocks to his feet when he does. Because there's no way that these brothers were going to bow down to Joseph. And they made it clear. And they made it clear in such a way that if Joseph wanted to stay as a part of the family, if Joseph wanted to stay and have dinner, if Joseph wanted to stay and be the lowest shepherd on the farm, he was going to have to recant his dream. He was going to have to change the way he was talking to the people. He was going to have to change the way he was addressing his brothers. He was going to have to give up his dream. You see, when you're 17 years old, his dream caused him great enthusiasm. How many of you have had enthusiasm at one point in your life? How many of you still have enthusiasm for life? Oh, good. Some of you do. Well, the problem is when you are 17 years old and you have great enthusiasm, most often you lack wisdom. In other words, the common sense to keep your mouth shut. Or at least to tell the dream in small bits, so you don't overwhelm the whole pot at the same time. He could have given up. He could have said, well, my brothers aren't buying in, I guess I must not have a future. He could have given up because he didn't start well. He could have said, oh, that didn't go well, which it didn't. I guess I'll give up. He could have given up, but he didn't. Now, just because he was young wasn't the only reason he might have given up either. He might have given up because, quite frankly, you can tell from the scripture that not one person in all of his family supported him in his dream. Not one person said, "Go for it, Joseph. I'll bow down for you. You can do it." Not one. He tells his brothers tell him where he can go. So he has another dream. You know, as if the first dream wasn't enough, he has another dream. This time, Mom and Dad are in it. Surely Mom and Dad would be more receptive to the dream. "Hey, Dad, I had a dream. You and Mom are going to bow down to me." Try it sometime. It's not a good way to start a conversation. It's not a good way to have a future in the family. Joseph could have given up because his father didn't believe him. In Hebrew, I think the exact translations is, "Are you kidding?" It's not really the direct translation, but you get the point. His brothers, if they could, treated him even worse, because after the second dream, his brothers began to treat him with contempt on top of their anger. So not only are they angry, they become contemptuous. Could have given up. How many of you have had a dream and your family said you're nuts? How many have had a dream and the people important to you have said, "Are you kidding?" Many of you? Oh, good. All of your dreams must be coming true. Right? Life must be. I can stop preaching. We know better, don't we? All of us have had people tell us that our dreams are unreasonable, that our dreams are impractical, they're not logical, that we can't do it. It would have been easy, I think, for Joseph to have given up on his dreams simply because the most important people in his world, his family, his father, his mother, his 11 brothers, were not going to support him. And by the way, if that wasn't enough, there's more. There's more. Turn to a neighbor and say, "There's more." More. You see, Joseph could have given up his dreams simply because of some of the surprises that were about to come his way. Because, you know, how many of you like every surprise that comes your way? Just the good ones, that's right. There's a problem. The surprises that are about to come Joseph's way would not be usually explained as good ones. You see, Joseph could have given up because of his family's misunderstanding of the dream. He could have given up when his brothers threw him in a hole, planned to kill him, and then decided, "Oh, we won't kill him, we'll just sell him to the Midianites who were passing by." He could have given up his dreams when he found himself being transported across the country to a whole other country named Egypt. He could have given up when he was sold again. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm not really looking forward to ever being sold into slavery the first time. Joseph gets sold the second time. I don't know about you, but that doesn't have too much promise to me. He could have given up when he was wrongly accused by Potiphar's wife after he refused her seduction. He could have given up when he was thrown into prison. when his only two friends in prison, well, one died, one was saved and forgotten. He could have given up, and 2 more years were added to his prison sentence. But he didn't. He didn't give up. He didn't give up the dream. And because of that, he went on to find favor in Potiphar's house. He went on to be put in charge of all the prisoners. He went on to interpret Pharaoh's dreams. He went on to become the second in command of all Egypt. He could have given up, but he didn't. Now, some of you might read this story and go, oh my goodness, this story goes on, and it does. Just so you know, it starts in chapter 37 and ends in chapter 50. And in scriptural terms, that's on and on. He could have given up on his dreams simply because they didn't come to fruition fast enough. He could have given up on his dreams because, quite frankly, most of us, and I think even in their day, they lived in as instant access day as they could. How many of us live in McDonald's? You've heard me say that before. We drive through hoping they'll have our Coke, our coffee ready before we even say the words. It's true. I expect them to know the sound of my van as I drive up. Some of you have heard my van, you get the point. Just so you know, Joseph's dream did not come to fruition overnight. Joseph's dream didn't just come gloriously to an end the first week after he had it. Not even the first year or the first decade. It actually took 23 years for the dream to come true. So some of you may have to wait a little bit longer for your dream to come true. You see, Joseph understood that he had a dream given to him by God, and that God was in control, he wasn't. And as he grew and as he got wiser and smarter in the process, he did some things that helped his dream come true. He pushed forward doing every time what he knew was right. And he began to listen and he began to learn. And he began to change the way he shared his dream. The older he got, the less likely he was to blurt out, I have a dream. More likely he became to begin to live the dream out so people could see the dream in front of them. How long has your dream been around? What are you doing to see that dream come true? Are you pushing towards what you know is the right answer? Are you listening to the people around you? Are you learning what God wants for you to really have in your dream? What will it take for you to realize your dream? There are some things that you and I can do when it comes to realizing our dreams. We can write it out. If you've had a dream, have you ever written it down? You can speak it out. Have you ever told anyone? I'm not saying just blurt it out like Joseph did, because that didn't go over well. He could have said it differently, and while his brothers might not have truly ever appreciated the dream, it could have had a different result. And we could begin living like the dream has come true. Over and over and over again, we can help realize our own dreams. We need to listen and learn from what Joseph is saying to us. We need to remember some real basic things when it comes to the dreams we have. We need to remember, like Joseph did, that God is always with us. We need to be more like Joseph in learning during those down times, humility and hope. We need to begin to remember one of the things that Joseph learned over the years was that self-promotion can never replace divine promotion. If God gives us a dream, we probably don't have to promote it. We simply have to live it. At the beginning of the sermon, I asked this question: do you have a dream? It's an important question. It's an important question that I have an answer for. Each and every one of us need to have a dream. Each and every one of us need to have one. And if you don't have one, I have some simple sage advice. Ready? Get one. Turn to a neighbor and say, get a dream. Now this time turn to a neighbor and say it like it's probably important. Get a dream! You see, and immediately you say, I don't have a dream. I can see it on some of your faces. I don't have one. And if it's going to be like Joseph's, I don't want one. And where do you go to get a dream? I've been to them all. There's not a dream store in the place. There's not. Go check. Where do you get a dream? Well, let me tell you how to get a dream. I want you to think about what you love. What you love to do. What you love to be. Think about that. What do you love? Now the second thing I want you to do is I want you to now think about who you love. Who do you love? What do you love? Who do you love? Now here's where you get your dream. You get your dream when you take what you love and mold it together with who you love. Who do you think Joseph loved? He loved his family. He loved his father. What do you think Joseph loved? He loved his country. He loved his people. God used that. When you put the things you love and the people you love together and begin to live that out, you'll have a dream. Now, if you have a dream, is it written down? If not, write it out. If it is, write it out again. If you have a dream, do you speak it out? If not, tell somebody different every day this week what your dream is. Are you listening and learning about your dream? If not, start today. If you are, learn some more. Are you living that dream out? I know some in this room are actually living out their dreams. You can live your dreams out. In fact, you can't wait for anyone else to live them out for you. I guarantee you, if you're waiting for the person next to you to live out your dreams, it isn't going to happen. Because your dreams are yours. See, Moses taught us that one person can make a difference in the world. Esther taught us that God has a place and a plan for you. And Joseph is teaching us to have and live for the dreams God has given us. They are big and glorious and wonderful. It's true. You may have had a difficult beginning. You may not have had any support from your family. Your life may be filled with surprise after surprise, seemingly keeping you from achieving your dream. And some of you might be saying, it's been so long. Write it out. Speak it out. Listen and learn. And then, every day, live that